Just one more sleep until the NFL returns to our screens full time. We got Cowboys, Eagles, just the appetizer of a full slate of week one action. Let's get you ready for it here in CBS Sports HQ. I'm Haley Sutton. It is time for our season preview presented by Geico. Switch and save. Get more with Geico. You know, the reigning champs are going to look to run it back in Super Bowl 60. It all starts tomorrow. But what about the rest of the race for the postseason? We've been asking our experts to bring their playoff predictions, and we got Charles Davis on deck. So the bracket looks a little empty right now, but Charles joining us now, one of the best in the biz, going to break down his bracket. You can catch Charles, by the way, on the call in Indianapolis as the Dolphins face the Colts week one. Charles, we're going to start our conversation over in the AFC. Just taking a look at how you think things will shake out. We're going to start at the top there. We've got your list. Steelers in the mix, Ravens, Bengals, but of course all eyes are on the Bills winning. We'll get there in a minute, but Charles, let's pick it up with the Steelers there. You have them taking on that 7th seed. We know Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. Sounds like that's going to continue with Aaron Rodgers behind center.
I've just not been able to find a reason to not pick Pittsburgh. Every time it happens, they find their way into the playoffs. And at times, you know, Haley, you've watched their seasons in recent years. They will have those runs during the season where they look like a true contender. But unfortunately, by the time they get to the playoffs, that's not really the case. Thus, they haven't won a playoff game since 2016. But I'm a big believer in Mike Tomlin and what he does there, how that team comes ready to play. I do think Aaron Rodgers playing 17 for them this year, which I'm counting on, which you shouldn't with any quarterback. But if he plays the bulk of those 17, to me, this is a playoff team again, nosing out someone like, let's say, the Los Angeles Chargers. But I never pick against Pittsburgh making the playoffs.
It's hard to when you think about what Mike Tomlin's been able to do. We're excited for that week one matchup, by the way, revenge game, Steelers versus Jets on CBS. Should be a good one. Let's talk about the Ravens, Charles, who continue just to come up short in the postseason despite incredible regular season performances. We know they were bounced from the divisionals last year, Charles, but not this year, you're thinking.
Yeah, I think this feels like a very, very good year for this Baltimore team because, Haley, they've kind of hit that stage where all of us on the outside know, respect, fear Baltimore, but we always feel like something's going to happen. They're going to slip on that proverbial banana peel in the playoffs. Something's going to go wrong. Mark Andrews isn't able to come down with a catch that he normally makes, right? They have Kansas City at home in the AFC title game, and things don't go quite right down the stretch. A big turnover down inside the 10. That's kind of where they've gotten. I feel like this might be the year they can get past that. They're going to play like a Raven, which is their motto. And I really think Zach Orr in his second year as a defensive coordinator, he's going to be much more comfortable right from the outset, and that defense will be Raven-esque right from the beginning. And we all know Lamar Jackson could very well have won his 3rd MVP last year, and he was the first-team All-Pro quarterback. That's not going to change.
Shout out to Zach Orr, by the way, a proud North Texas alum, my college there. So go Mean Green and go Zach Orr.
Go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green. Of course, Charles, we all know, as you mentioned, the loss for the Ravens last year came to the Bills. We get the rematch on Sunday night. However, you're kind of feeling like this won't be the last time we see them in week one. You've got some big expectations for this matchup during the playoffs.
I certainly do. I feel like they're going to bookend the year, Haley. You know, start us off on a Sunday night up in Highmark Stadium in Buffalo. I believe this is the last year that stadium will be in existence. If you go up to Buffalo to Western New York, they still call it the Ralph, for Ralph Wilson, the original owner, and what it was named. But I think that's where they're going to start, and then I think they're going to finish in the same spot because Buffalo I have as a projected #1 seed going into the playoffs. Baltimore should visit them a second time in the AFC title game if my projections are anywhere close to being accurate.
It's so interesting when we talk about Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, two of the best quarterbacks with records that have yet to make it to a Super Bowl. So right now you're feeling like Josh Allen's going to get over the hump in the AFC. Let's go over to the NFC next. Want to take a look at how you think the playoff picture will look. Of course, the Eagles are in the mix, right? They are your winners of the NFC, but also Bucks, Packers, Cardinals. Hello. You have the Commanders, Lions, and wrapping things up with the Seahawks. I kind of want to start with a surprise here, Charles. The NFC West represented by the Seahawks and the Cardinals. Let's start with Arizona. Why do you think they can take the next step and not only get to the postseason, Charles, but win the division?
I think that they've been gaining momentum as they've gone along, and they didn't quite know how to finish things off early in the tenure of Jonathan Gannon. Last year was a prime example, Haley. You remember the Hail Mary game. We all do. Chicago at Washington, right? And that happens, and Chicago has a horrible loss, okay? The very next week, they had to go to Arizona. And this was where they were supposed to get right, remember? Okay, we're going to find out about Chicago. They're going to get it all together. Everything's going to work out. And they got whacked by Arizona. I think with 4 to 5 games left in the season, Arizona was leading the NFC West and playing well. And where they lost it was Seattle coming to town and beating them, and then things didn't go well from that point. I just think Jonathan Gannon, head coach, Nick Rawless, defense coordinator, Drew Petzig, offensive coordinator. I like this staff. They've been building. They've been growing. Kyler Murray's a year past the knee injury now. I just feel like this team is on the rise. And every year, you and I both know it, there's always a surprise team out there. I don't know how much of a surprise Arizona is. You hear a lot of people talk about them. Last year, they were considered playoff contenders. This year, I think they take that big step and find their way winning a very tough division out west.
A lot of people are kind of leaning into the Arizona hype right now. So you're not the only one, Charles, that is seeing something special out of that team. You kind of talked about how the Cardinals figured it out there down the stretch. So did Seattle. They were this close to getting into the postseason last year. They have Sam Darnold behind center this year. What makes you believe that Sam can carry over the performance that we saw out of him with Minnesota last year?
Yeah, I think that the last couple of games had people saying that Sam Darnold had regressed so totally. We were back to the early days of his career. I just don't see that. Yes, it was tough down the stretch. Yes, Minnesota struggled and got beat bigger than what we would thought, especially when they went to Los Angeles, actually went to Arizona, right? Because they had to move that game because of the horrific fires out west. But Sam Darnold had a year that got him back to, oh, yes, I am a good player. I am a good quarterback. The KOC, kiss and whispering of Kevin O'Connell has rehabilitated another one. Now he's going to go out there. He's going to have a good running game to go with it. Mike McDonald is a defensive coach. He's going to have his hands on the reins of this thing. And I just think that this Seattle team gives him a great spot, and the city gives him a great place to be comfortable. And we can see why Sam Darnold was picked so high when he came out of USC.
So there's a look at it. Seattle expected to take on the Bucs, who will be the 2 seed. We'll talk about them in just a minute. But Charles, want to turn your attention to that 6 versus 3 Lions-Packers. Ironically, they'll open the season against one another on CBS as well. Want to focus on the Lions side of this, though, Charles, because obviously the conversation has been the loss of the 2 coordinators, right? But we had Jamal Adams, former running back for the Lions, on HQ a few weeks ago. Jamal Williams, excuse me, I said Jamal Adams, but Jamal Williams, the running back. And he told us that as long as they have Dan Campbell as their head coach, they can do anything. How do you feel about the Lions going into this postseason?
Oh, I absolutely feel exactly as Jamal Williams talked about. And just as a quick aside, I played against Jamal Adams' dad, George, in college, who was a first-round pick with the New York Giants. That's a football-playing family, and now I'm feeling my age. But all that being said, Detroit's culture has been established, and it starts with Big Dan Campbell. Yes, the coordinators are different. Remember, one defense coordinator has been on staff and come up through the ranks with him, and Kelvin Shepard, a former player. John Morton is an old friend and a colleague, and they've worked together before. He's coming in and not bringing a different playbook. He's adapting to what they're doing, plus his own little flair that he wants to bring to it. Listen, Ben Johnson set an almost impossibly high bar. But that doesn't mean that the Detroit Lions are going away. Yes, I've got them as a 6th seed because I just don't see the NFC North as having a 15-win, a 14-win, and 11-win team this year. I think they'll slug it out a little bit more than that. So maybe the records won't be the same, but that doesn't mean they aren't still contenders. And by the way, Detroit feels pretty good about how they play against Green Bay. Go back and check the record in the last few seasons with Dan Campbell. They have no fear of the pack. And they really think that they match up well with them no matter what the seed is.
So much so that you have them taking down the #1 seed in Philly as well. So some interesting stuff there. I soft teased Baker Mayfield and the belief that you have in this program. Coming in at #2 on your power rankings here, I should call them power rankings, just your playoff rankings, Charles, is the Bucs. You and Pete Prisco are very high on this team. You have them making it all the way to the Super Bowl. What have you seen out of them that leads you to believe that they can do that this year?
Most complete team since the Super Bowl team with Tom Brady leading them. And they've had a few years since Tom Brady has been gone where they had to find their way a little bit. But how would you like to find your way, Haley, as a franchise while winning 4 consecutive division titles? And when I say find their way, right, Baker had to come in and reestablish himself as a legit starting quarterback in the NFL. He's done that in a big, big way. This team has taken on his persona, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Todd Bowles, as a head coach, has not given up defensive play calling. In fact, right now, he's probably already just designed another blitz for Sunday. So this is how it works with this team. And I think Jason Light has accumulated the best talent they've had there since that Super Bowl team. Atlanta, in last year's draft, took dead aim at Tampa Bay by taking the second pass rusher, James Pierce, in the first round when they traded back in after taking Jalen Walker from Georgia. That was announcing, we think we're close. We're going to go after Tampa Bay. They're going to go after what I believe is the best Tampa Bay team we've seen in the last 4 seasons. So to me, it's a big, big task. And people always ask, do you have the quarterback to win with? Do you have the quarterback to win a Super Bowl? Is Baker Mayfield elite? As we have that argument again with his turn to be in that sentence. I think that he is. I think that he is more than capable of being a Super Bowl quarterback. So it wouldn't shock me at all to see this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team find their way back into another Super Bowl.
All right, so we got Bills-Bucks for Super Bowl 60, Charles. Maybe not the Super Bowl that people were expecting, but it is yours. Tell us who wins.
Oh boy, that's going to be a heck of a game now if you've got the Bills and the Bucks. Mayfield getting his crew there, that's a huge, huge deal. Josh Allen has been jonesing for this just as much as anyone and has had so many disappointments, not of his own making. When you turn the game over to your defense and your special teams with 13 seconds to go, you should expect to win. When you hit the big plays down the stretch and then the other team comes back and you expect to win. I just saw him on Hard Knocks. He's already envisioning the parade. 5 degrees, we're coming this way, the whole deal. It's his year. Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills, they find their way.
All right, we'll keep our eye on it. Maybe this is the year Josh Allen brings home that Lombardi. Charles, we appreciate it. Enjoy the game this week. We look forward to your call. And we look forward to the return of the NFL on CBS. There's the schedule coming your way beginning at 1 o'clock Eastern. Of course, we've talked about that Steelers-Jets revenge game. We've also got Lions-Packers. Our NFL Today Plus crew going to be at that game on Sunday.